Kanye West is a hot topic. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be really cool to get you guys' perspective on that. So nothing really in specific, just I guess give me your thoughts on the entire situation as Kanye West right now.
Well, I mean, I think first I'm going to speak very ignorantly here, right? Because I'm not following this as much as I probably would want to. I love Ye, right? Like I loved all his first albums. I loved when he went to that crazy auto tuning phase,
Don't
right?
hate on the auto tune now.
Right. So like, I mean, I kind of stopped listening after the auto tuning phase, but I respect the dude, right? And he's got a lot of good ideas. I know he's judged for saying some of the things he says. I don't think he's necessarily crazy. He may not be delivering it the right way, but I don't think he's necessarily crazy. I think the big thing, and the only snippets I read was fascinating, is like we're living in a world now where you can call out specific people, but not other people. And for me, that's where I have problems, right? Like, why is it okay, right, to call out white people, but everyone else is off limits?
Mhm.
Like that's the part that kind of trips me out. But I mean, again, I'm not paying enough attention to it. I think whether this is strategic or not, trying to get out of some contracts. I mean, the best way to get out of a contract is to be a poison pill, right? Like you are the poison pill. Like normally they have it like it was like Eric Dampier with the Warriors back then, right? Like you had to hit all these performance bonuses that he would never hit,
Right.
right? So it was like a poison pill in his contract. You had to like discover some like isotope of uranium or whatever. And like now Kanye is the poison pill. He eliminated himself for the contract by changing, was it the class of character? What is it? There's some term, right? Just you got to represent yourself the right way. What are your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I think the whole thing is kind of fascinating because so when I see Kanye, like I think all the way back, right? Like I think about Kanye as the producer, how he had the vision, the foresight, ingenuity to create like just something beautifully dope. I mean, he's curated art. Like he's a curator, But when I look at, I think what's happening now, I do think this is about contracts, right? I do think that he's created a scenario, and this is something I think we all can learn from. He's created a scenario where to get to the next level, he needed somebody to be able to do that, whether it was manufacturing, whether it's distribution of his clothing, whether it was design, because he's not a designer, right? Like it's not like he's himself designing the clothes or the shoes. Like he's curating the vision of it, and somebody
Mhm.
else is putting all that stuff together. But think about our own businesses, right? Like I might have said this last week on here, but it's almost a scenario of if you've got a sales rep that works for you and they make 15, 20% of a deal from you, right? And they're your top performing person, like they do a phenomenally great job in sales. Sometimes in their mind, they feel that that's the entire complexity of the business itself. That, hey, I went and got a contract. That's how we make money, is getting houses under contract. Hey, my contribution to the business is much larger than 15, 20%.
Yep.
And I think that's what a lot of this is really about, as things often are. I think they're about money.
Yeah.
And
And I
go
heard
ahead.
something along the lines like he went from $11 billion worth, which I can't believe if that's true, right? It's just insane. But he went from 11 billion to like 400 million, right? Like Chase canceled him,
Right.
Adidas canceled him. Who
Mhm.
else?
Balenciaga,
Gap.
Gap.
Yeah.
And yeah, because a lot of his net worth was caught up in these, valuations. So I
Right.
think Kanye's goal was to go on media platforms because that's that. And I think it's important to point this out. Like everything now, Steve, I think you're a really great example of this too, right? Like myself is included. The brands of the world now are created in a social dynamic of media, right?
Yep.
Social media. And so I think the essence and aura of Kanye grew and got created through social media, through social context. And he's largely depended on that his entire career in order to grow his power and influence, right? When you started Real Estate Disruptors, it was a show with 0 subscribers. Now it's this platform and has reach and all these different things.
Yeah.
And now he wants to take this to the next level because, again, he's the sales rep making 15% that feels like his contribution to the business is much greater than what he's receiving.
Yeah. Well, what's
And so,
interesting, right, is again, like if what I'm hearing is correct, and again, I'm a little ignorant here, is that if he made a conscious decision to make these things happen and decrease his net worth from 11 billion to like 400 million, right?
right.
Is that the right move? I'm curious. Do you think that was the right move? So now you have 100% of everything moving forward.
No, because and that's kind of the thing, right? It's like, again, it's the analogy, the sales rep leaves and says, "Hey, I'm just gonna start my own business."
Mhm.
And then the reality, I've seen it time and time again in the business, they never get to where they thought they were gonna go.
Yeah.
Because all they focused on was the dynamic of their portion of the effort. They weren't paying attention to the accounting, they weren't paying attention to the taxes, weren't paying attention to the disposition of the asset, weren't paying attention to the transaction coordination and how do you raise money, how do you actually do construction, like all these different things. And so I don't think Kanye thought this all the way through, right?
Yeah.
It's like in his mind, it's like, okay, now I own all my IP again. I own the names, I own the trademarks, and that sounds good, I think, in theory. But somebody still has to do the distribution. Somebody still has to do the fulfillment of the
Right,
product.
but he can hire some really good people with $400 million net worth, right? I think, like, I'm with you.
And it can piss people off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
Right?
still
Because,
work
like,
with
think
him?
about it like this real quick. Like, this is how simple it is in my mind.
Mhm.
So large platform media, right? I think we could all agree historically and now is controlled by groups of people that he's making some inflammatory remarks towards,
Mhm.
right? And so, unfortunately, he's put himself in a position, like I was saying earlier, he's discounted the social media aspect of himself and his growth. Because every large scale podcast right now, guess what? It's either owned by a large media platform or will be in the very near future.
Yeah.
The social platforms are owned by large scale corporations that make their money from advertisers that spend way more money than Kanye West, right?
Right.
And so I think he's placed himself into this vortex that I don't know if he's going to be able to shake
I don't
out of
know,
it the
right?
way
Like, because he's going the opposite route, right? Like, he's going, like, I heard, like, he might be acquiring Parlor, right?
right.
And who knows, right? If he gets canceled, he goes to like Rumble, kind of like Andrew Tate. So he's going the exact opposite of like Michael Jordan, right? Because remember Michael Jordan, he got torn apart. Where like you're a successful black man, you need to be talking about what's going on to the black community, and his response to that is like Republicans buy shoes too, right? So
Right.
he's Ye's going the exact opposite direction, but going the opposite direction and being more polarizing, you actually may have even more reach because you're so different than everyone else.
I agree and disagree, right? So you go the opposite direction, but if I'm Kanye West and I have the reach that Kanye West has, right? So I go to grassroots level and I say, hey, I want to sell hey, I've designed a new sneaker. I'm going to be putting out I own the IP now. It's no Yeezy with Adidas, whatever. Well, he's Kanye West. So it's not like he's me or you, right? If I design a sneaker today, it might just be the U fam that buys it, right? For
Shout out to
you,
the
it
U
might
fam.
just be yeah, it might just be the subscribers from Real Estate Disruptors. Maybe we can figure out how to fulfill that,
Yeah.
right? It's not but so much. But if you're Kanye West and the fulfillment now becomes millions of people, then you can't go to the screen printing shop down the street from your house
Yeah.
and
Some of
say,
the
hey,
logistics.
right. And so I think the gap here is logistically for him to fulfill anything that he wants to sell because of who he is and the size of who he is. He needs a large scale corporation with the infrastructure to support that. And I think he's misguided right now in what he's doing because he's alienating the people that control those things.
Yeah.